This
Anything else,
conference
guys?
will now be recorded.
Anything else you want to discuss before you start today? Yeah, fine. So we just have to discuss these things, right? Studio architecture, right? So default folder, that is whatever the files which we have created in Uipath, where does it save is in default folder. So the default folder is, I will tell you. So this is one of the important question, right? So you may get asked this about in interviews. Okay, so this is the folder, guys. This is the folder. You can check once you install. You can navigate to this folder and see, like if you have already worked on some project or if you have created any processes, that files will be saved in this path. You can check that. So what will be saved in main.xml? So main.xml, like main is, it will not always be a main, so it is a main function, but whatever the name which we give to this main, that will be saved as .xml. Okay, so let's say for example, if I have created some like credit card, I am doing the credit card related process, so if I have named credit card.xml, so that will be saved as that in that way, not main.xml always. Fine. So main workflow, main workflow of the project. Screenshots contains, of course, it is easily understandable, contains images. If you we are performing UI automation. Okay. So this contains this project.json, again, like whatever the name which we give to the project. Okay, so project.json will save entire project and contains all the internal info of the project. Like if it is having any subfolders or subfiles, everything will be in that, and it will be saved in the format of JSON. Okay, that will be in the format of JSON. Fine, guys.
Yes, yeah.
Now we'll start with a small practical example. Okay, we start using activities. Okay, we start developing the sequences, right? So let's say first a simple creating a message box. Creating a message box. So by using activities in UiPath Studio, we will create a small message box. So what this message box has to do, once I execute my process, a message box has to be pop up, and in that message box I should have some message. Okay, so basically, like let's say this is some output after execution of some complex use case. Okay, so we come to that complex use cases later, but first to start to understand how the activities will be used, how the sequence will be executed, and how the output will be generated. So for that, we'll create a small message box. Okay, so let's go to Uipath Studio. Okay, we have opened Uipath Studio. Okay, so let's take one new process. Let's take one new process. So see here, process, start with a blank project to design a new automation process. So this is one of the type of project. So what it will give? It will give a blank project. Why it is saying blank project is, so other projects which are available, they may give some template in order to develop a project, but this one will give entirely a blank one. So we have to do what are the activities, whatever the sequences we have to configure, right? So like, let's say for example, if I take flowchart, model a process as a flowchart diagram. So this may contain a small template. Okay, by using that we can develop our process, or we may delete that according to the requirement. Fine. So in this way, like, there are different projects. How many? There are 5 different projects. According to our requirement we may go, right? So like library, create a reusable components and publish them together as a library. Libraries can be added as dependencies to automation process. So for example, if you want to develop your own customized function or a customized library, okay, we can develop and make it available in the studio, so that whenever we want to reuse that, we can call it into any process. That is, once you develop a library, it will be available across the processes, across the projects. Okay, so if you want to create any reusable components, we have to use library. Okay, so depending on this, like this, each one we have to use. Transactional process, if you want to have a small flow, if you want to develop a flow, if you want to develop a process with a flow and which is giving already a small template, then we can go for transactional process. And one more use of transactional process is, if you are dealing with a business process where there are multiple conditions. Okay, on that conditions there should be some output. Okay, so that is transactions, many transactions which are available in that particular use case. Okay, so let's say for example, if you there is a condition. Okay, there is a condition that you have to approve a credit card to a customer. What are the things which have to be checked in order to approve a credit card? Okay, so such kind of transactional processes can be developed. Okay, so we can do it in blank process also, but the thing is, it will give some basic idea, basic template. Okay, so we can do the same thing using blank process also. No objection for that. Fine, we will discuss about these two things later. Fine.
Saket, I have one question here. So
Yeah,
you said like in the library we can create reusable components. So if I want to share my customized library to someone else, how to do that?
you can just export a file. You can just export that library as a file,
Okay,
like
fine.
.xml file is there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can save that in that way and send it across, like wherever you
Okay.
want to use, or you can put that whatever the libraries you have created or your team members have created, you can put that in a shared folder which is accessible to everyone.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Fine. So let's take a blank process, guys. So because we are seeing for the first time, so let's explore from the beginning. Okay. So let's not go already which is available. Okay. So this will be more comfortable and more easy to understand. Okay. So see, once I clicked on here, a window has opened saying a new process, new blank process. Start with a blank project to design a new automation process. Okay, so this is entirely new project. We are starting entirely a new project, taking a new blank process. So let's take it as okay. I am naming this project as Asha 24 project and description. So here in this description we can write whatever the description we want. Okay, so basically it is writing by default blank process. We can customize that. Okay, I clicked on create. So a new project will be created now. And when it is creating a new project, it will download the dependencies and it will whatever the interconnections are required from Uipath Studio to that project, everything will be created and it will create a memory for that. Okay, it will create a memory which is required to save all the files which are related to that project. Okay, so see here, see here, we are able to see the project name and where it is saving, it is saving in the folder documents UiPath and the file name is Asha24. So default path we have discussed it, right? This one, user profile, documents, UiPath, and then here comes whatever the name which we give. And in user profile, like whatever the user profile you maintain. So here it is C users, Saket, documents, UiPath, and the file name. Okay, so we have taken a simple process. So once we have created a project, we can take here also. Okay, so see here, start. Okay, once we click on start, it will go back again to this window. Okay, if you want to go back to development area, so you can click on arrow, and here there is something called new. Okay, so if you click on new, we can see sequence, flowchart, state machine. Okay, so what kind of process which we want to develop? Do you want to develop a sequence? Do you want to develop a flowchart? Do you want to develop a state machine? Okay, we can select any one of these.
Saket, do
Once
we use state machines also in UiPath?
yes, yes. So depending on our requirement, we can develop state machine.
Okay, and what kind of requirements will they be?
We will see. Okay, so we'll discuss few of the
Okay,
things in the early stages. Then slowly we will understand everything.
okay, okay, fine.
Uh, 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, fine. Yeah. So now this is the project structure. We are in the project panel. Okay. So now let's go to activities panel here. Go to activities panel. And now what is that I want to create? I want to create a message box to display some message. Okay. So here I will search here so that we can understand the flow also. Type here input. Type here input. So what is the hierarchy I am getting? I am getting system, dialog, custom input, input dialog. So basically I want to take input dialog. So what this input dialog activity will do, this is one of the activity. See here, displays a dialog box that prompts the user with a label message and an input field. So basically whatever the detail or whatever the message which we want, we can text here, input dialog. So let's go to activities level and see. So under available, okay, system, where did we get that input dialog, right? System dialog. So understanding the activities and what is the usage of those activities is very important in Uipath. So if we understand that, it is very easy to do. Okay, so see here, so how difficult it is to search for a one particular activity if we do not know. So if we know, we can directly search for, but if we do not know, we have to search like this. System, and it is under dialog. Okay, so anyhow, you can take that as homework. Okay, so basically take input dialog box. Okay, so you can now once you install, you just search where it is, search the hierarchy, and you can just note down. So when you are practicing, you can initially few activities you can note down so that you can understand the hierarchy, and after a few sessions even you can search here in the search box and get the whatever the activity which you want. Okay, so basically first thing is I am searching for input dialog box. So that is the reason I have just given the initial letters. I got input, whatever the related activities which are having this word input, it is displaying. So among this, choose the correct one, input dialog. Just drag and drop here. So what happened? It automatically created a sequence. I didn't call the sequence from here. I can call the sequence. I can start the sequence and then again I can take the input dialog. But immediately once I have dragged and dropped, it created a sequence. Okay. So even this is also possible, and even this is also a correct way to do. Okay. No problem.
Saket,
Now, yeah, yeah,
are
please
we
go ahead.
are we displaying message or are we entering the value here?
So value in the sense I didn't understand.
No, this input dialog. What was this? This is displaying message.
Yes. I will tell you.
Okay.
Okay. So I have taken an activity called input dialog box. So basically what I want to do, I want to create a message box. So to create a message box and to get a message box, a blank message box doesn't make any sense, right? I have to have some message to be displayed from that message box. So to write that message into message box, I need input dialog. You understood now?
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. So whatever the message I want to display through a message box, I will write here. Okay. Now for message box, you have to type for message box here. Okay. So see here, system dialog message box. So again, a message box is also here. So take this message box. Take this message box and drag and drop here. Immediately after input dialog, you will get an arrow here. Okay. So that indicates a flow actually. So below that, place a message box. Below that, place a message box. So now how many activities I have? Input dialog activity, message box activity. I have two activities and one sequence. Of course. Okay. So whatever the number of activities, it will create one sequence. So here I am able to see here something like this, blue color highlights. So this indicates errors. This blue color indication is nothing but error. That means we have not given any input into this, right? Input dialog box or message box. So if we give proper inputs, then this will disappear. Okay. See, if I want to do the same thing, if I want to use the same activities, this is a sequence, right? Let's say I want to use flowchart. I can do the same thing using the same activities. I can develop flowchart also. Okay. Let's say message box. I'm showing both of them, so that you can understand basically what is the difference, right? So this is a sequence. This is a flowchart. Flowchart will always have nothing. So everything is blank except flowchart will always have a start button. Okay, flowchart will always have a start button by default, but in sequence there won't be anything. It will be a completely blank, unless if you take sequence, it will appear as a sequence box. This box will appear if you take a sequence, but immediately once you take a flowchart, it will by default we will get a start button. So let's take the same activities here also in flowchart. Let's say input dialog box, same thing. I'm taking the same activities, input dialog box. So see here how it is appearing. The appearing is also different. Input dialog box activity here, it is asking title and label here itself, but here it is not. Okay, and again take message box, the same activity which we have used in sequence, message box. So see here, it come under recent. It has now appearing under recent, that is favorites. So whatever the frequently used activities come under recent. So I have taken message box. Fine. So this will appear as a flow. Okay. We have developed flowcharts in our, maybe if it is BTech, or even we have developed flowcharts in schools also, right? Okay. So it will appear this, the look and feel will be same thing. We have to create connections, interconnections with each other and execute. Okay. So now I have input dialog box. I have message box. Now write whatever you want to write in the input dialog box. How to write? So if we select this one, we are getting properties related to the input dialog. We are getting properties related to the input dialog. Okay, we can write here also. We can go ahead and write whatever we want to write in the properties also, or more easier way is double click here. Okay, it is saying double click to view, double click. So once you double click, a new page will be opened. So this is message box. This message box is the main page. Okay, so here input dialog, a new page will be opened. Okay, so here in input dialog, if you want to change the display name, so input dialog is the activity name. If you want to change it, see here in the properties, it is saying under common display name input dialog. This is the default one. If you want to change, delete. If you want to delete, okay, if you want to change, delete, and you can customize. What we will do, what we can give the name as message. Let's say for example, customer details, customer data maybe, and I want to display this input dialog as customer data. I want to customize, so I have it. See here. So now it is customer data. Now here, see here, title, text must be quoted. So always remember guys, whenever you are writing any text in activities, any activity in Uipath, whenever you are writing any activities in Uipath, it should be under quotations. It should always be under quotations. So remember that always. So title. So what is the title you want to give? So here enter. I am giving enter your name. Okay, the title I am giving is enter your name. Okay, and here the next text box is label. Text must be quoted again here. So I am giving enter your name. When it is asking enter your name, I will input my first name. First name. Okay, so this is what I want to enter. Now once I have given the name, once the customer is giving the name, it has to be saved somewhere, right? It has to be saved somewhere. So where do I have to save? I have to save in a, okay, so I have to save in a variable. Okay, I have to save in a variable. What is a variable? A variable is a place where it will create some memory to save whatever the data which we want to save in Uipath. Not only Uipath, it is a variable is a general term where it will save some data. Okay, so how do you save? By giving some value. By giving some value. So here, what is the variable? First name. What is the variable? First name. So first name is of type text. Okay, name will always be a text, right? Okay, it won't be alphanumeric or numeric, right? So this text is nothing but data type. Okay, so what variable will do? It will save the data, save some data. Okay, variable will save some data. So in order to save some data in a variable, we have to specify what type of data we want to save. That is type of data. We have to specify type of data. So here my variable is first name. I am saving my first name, and what type of data it is? Text data. Okay, that is data type. This is called data type. Nothing but type of data. We have to specify the type of data, right? That is text data type. Data type is nothing but type of data, and it is text. First names will always be text. And here comes value. Value is the actual first name which you want to save. That is Saket. I am saving my name. I am saving my name. This is the value. Okay. So I'm explaining if someone don't know what is the variable. Okay. So if you already know, it may look very basic, but then have to bear. Fine, guys. So this is about variable, data type, and value. Fine. So any doubts here? If someone is not aware of this. Okay, fine. So let's go here. So enter your name is title. First name is the text which we want to type. So now create a variable. So we have to save the data which we want to write, right? So create a variable. So where do we create a variable? So here, variables, arguments, imports. Okay, arguments and imports we'll discuss whenever we use them. Now because we know variables, let's create that. Variable. So you have to click here, variable, and see here, create variable. Okay, name, variable type, scope, default. Name, whatever the name which we give. Variable type, I said data type, right? So here we have to specify the data type. Scope is nothing but up to what extent this variable has to be accessible. Okay, do you want this variable to be accessible only in this main page? Do you want to make it available only for this customer data activity, or do you want to access this variable across the processes? Okay, so that all comes under scope. We have to specify the scope. Okay, and default, if you want to give any default value, like if you want to enter first name, or if you want to enter default first name as Saket, okay, so specify that as default. Okay, but if it is dynamic, okay, if the first name is always changing, don't enter any default. You can still enter default. If there is nothing entered, then that will take default. Fine. Now create a variable. So we have to just create, click on that, and this box will appear. Delete the default name called variable1 and give the name. Okay, so this is called let's say what we input name, let's say, or customer name. Okay, so we should not use dots. Customer name, string. Okay, so see here, what are the different variable types? Nothing but data types are available. Boolean is nothing but true or false. Int is for numeric values. String is for text values. So I told you text data type, right? So text will come under string. Object, so if you are if you are developing any specific object, okay, so like reusable object, if you want to save in that way, object, select object. Array, if you want to save multiple values, in a variable, use array. Okay, browse for other types. Okay, if these are not suitable, and if you want to still want another data types, we have to browse. Fine. Now customer name is string data type, select that. Scope, so here we have to specify. If we click here, we will get message box. So what is message box? My process name. Okay, so this variable is accessible across my process, so let it be process. I don't want to give any default, let it be dynamic. Now we have created a variable. Okay, so if you want to check it again, go to variable. So it is saved. Create variable. Now the variable which we have created have to be mapped in the properties. Okay, whatever the variable which we have created, customer name, have to be mapped in the properties of this input dialog box. Properties of this input dialog box. Where do we have to map is here under output result. Under output result, so that it will understand, okay, this is what the variable and its value, and this is the output which is expected through a message box. Fine. So go to output result, just click here and give the name. Just type first letter. So immediately it is displaying CNAME, customer name, whatever the variable which we have created. So this has intelligence. We need not type everything, or we need not copy paste anything. If we type the first letter, whatever the variables which are created, because it is only one, it is showing up one variable. But if we have created 2-3 variables, it will show all the variables in the list in the similar way. And we have to select the relevant variable which is suitable here in the output result. So select this one. So just click on this one. Right. So now we have given the name. And coming to other properties, display name we have covered, result we have covered. So if you want to encrypt, like for example, if whatever the text which you are typing here, if it is a password, okay, so if you check here, if you check is password, then this will not be visible when you get that message box. Label, okay, so first name, so whatever the label here which we have here given here, it is reflecting the same one, first one. Options, so if you want to enter any array data, then you can go for here. And title again same thing, whatever we have entered, enter your name. Fine. So these are the properties of input dialog box. Yeah. Any doubts guys in this? Now we can go back to message box. So whatever the properties or whatever the inputs which we have to give in the input dialog box, everything is given. Now we have to come to message box. No doubt guys, everything is fine.
Yes, I can.
Okay, fine. So let's go to message box now. So everything whatever we have to do with input dialog is done now. Now we have to go to message box. So same way, okay, double click here. We can directly give here. We can directly, we can directly go to properties and we can write whatever we want. But to make it exclusively open in another page, it will be easy, to write at all. So otherwise we can directly give there also, or we can double click and save whatever the data we want to type here also in another page. So here in message box, what is this message box has to do? It has to display whatever the name which we have given. Okay, it has to display. We are entering a customer name, right? So that customer name has to display through this message box. But how this message box will know what is that I have to display? Okay, so we have to give the reference of the variable which we have created. Okay, we have to give the reference of the variable which we have created in the message box, so that this variable will be taken as a reference and that will be displayed through a message box. Fine. So same thing, type here, just first letter, okay, you will get the variable. Double click on this and save. That's it. Fine. So this is what, nothing to do in message box, there is nothing. Okay. And if you want to customize this message box also, if you want to customize, so instead of message box, customer name, first name, or maybe not just customer name, enter. Okay, so we get the message box with this name only. Okay, if we don't customize this, that will be displayed as a message box only, but we have customized this, and when we get as an output, when we get a message box output, same thing will be displayed. Okay, and other properties of message box, buttons. Okay, so see here, there are okay, okay cancel, yes, no cancel, yes, no. Okay, so if we want to have these buttons along with this message box, we can. Okay, if we want any of these buttons along with this message box, we can select this one. Okay, we will see later. Okay, first we will go with plain message box. Caption. Okay, so if you want to give any title, text CNAME is already given. Okay, okay, miscellaneous, private, topmost. Okay, so if you want to make it private, whatever the message, if you want to display only in a private message box, okay, click here. Topmost, if there are multiple message box, if you want to make it topmost, click check here, because there is only one and it is the only checked one. Okay, output, we need not give anything, because message box itself will take the reference of the variable and give that. Fine. So now connect. So just have to place your cursor here, place your mouse cursor here, hold mouse left click like this. Okay, there are 4 points which we get for every activity. Okay, left, right, top, bottom. Okay, we have to connect only the at that points. Fine, leave the mouse click and again connect from here to here. It need not be straight, or this curves doesn't matter as far as it is connected. Fine, so everything is done now. So this is a simple process. It will start here, take the customer details and check the variable which we have created and display the same with the reference of the variable which we have created and display it through a message box. Fine, so we have connected. Save this process. So here it is saved, just click on that and now run this process. Okay, so we got a message. So see here, we got a message box. Enter your name. So this is the message box heading title which we have given, right? In that I have given first name. So enter your name is the message box heading. First name is that what is the input dialog which I have to enter, and this is the text box. So I'm entering my name. So this name is expected from the customer. Customer has to enter, right? So I'm writing the name. Click OK. Now a message box is displayed with my name. Customer name, customer first name. So it is not displaying. So see here, a message box is displaying with the customer name. Click OK. So this is how we have created a message box with the customized customer name. Okay, and it will display a message box. And in this we know now how to develop a simple process using a flowchart. We know we have used 2 activities: input dialog box activity, message box activity, and how to create a variable. 3 things. Yeah, any doubts guys in this? I will run once again. I will run this once again. You can just recheck again. I'm running it again. Okay, I'm getting the input dialog box. To enter the first name of the customer. Okay, and in the input, clicking OK. Now it is displaying the customer message. Click OK. Is it fine, guys? Easy to understand?
Yes, Saket, it's fine from my side.
Okay, so as if you have already installed, so as a practice, what you will do is create multiple input dialog boxes, create multiple messages, okay, and get familiar how to create a variable. Okay, so whatever we have discussed, you can develop your own use cases like student details, first name, last name, use multiple input dialog box and multiple message boxes. Same thing, what you have to do is you have to take 2 or 3 input dialog boxes and two or three message boxes. Okay, so as a practice, take that. Okay, and you have to create variables, get familiar with creating variables, and also not just only creating variables, you should know even where you have to give the reference of that variable. Okay, unless after creating variable you are saving the data whatever you are entering into the dialog box, input dialog box. But if you fail to give the reference in the message box here, message box will not be able to reflect that back. Okay, that customer will name will not be displayed if you do not give the reference. So even practice that also, giving the reference of the variable which you have created. That is one of the important things. So sometimes we develop everything will be fine, but we forget a small thing, that giving the reference of the variable which we have created. Okay, and output will not be displayed and we will get errors. Okay, so if we practice that, going forward it will be very easy to understand creating variables and giving the references. Yeah, and one more thing, same thing we can do here also in sequence also. Okay, so we will do this tomorrow. Okay, so how a message can be displayed through a message box in sequence. So same thing, we have to give the title, we have to give the label, and we have to create a message. Same thing. Okay, if you want to try from your side before we discuss, then that is very good. But anyhow, we will discuss the same thing tomorrow also. And along
So,
with this will be completed in very few minutes because we already know the concept of activities, both of these activities. It is just that we have to see how a sequence will work. Yeah, some doubt.
yeah, I was asking like, do we have class tomorrow?
Tomorrow is yeah. I'm sorry. So we will be meeting again on Monday.
Okay, and what about the holidays, like Diwali holidays? So
As of now, I don't have any information. You can definitely get from management.
okay, okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah. So from my side, I still I didn't get any information. So accordingly, we can plan. So there won't be any overlapping of holidays, and you will be missing the classes. We can plan accordingly. No problem.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to tell you, like, I'll be on leave from 12 to 19,
Mm-hmm.
traveling to my hometown.
Okay, okay. So in that case, I think we cannot. No, maybe because you will be getting the recording sessions, that should not be a problem.
Okay,
But yeah, but later once you join the classes, you can we can have a discussion on like whatever the doubts you get. Basically, first you discuss with the management. If there is any resolution, we can plan about it. Okay.
sure, sure. Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
you
Thank
can tell about your leave plan. You can speak with the management. Then they have allow it.
Sure, Saket. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So any more guys. So we will see one more use case using this activities. Okay, so along with the input dialog box and along with message box, we'll start adding one by one, so to know, get familiar with different activities. Okay, and each activity has a different properties. Okay, so we have to remember these properties also. Okay, what are the properties which are mandatory to be given? Okay, let's say for example, we have given, let's say, customer message box output choose and button. Okay, this is not mandatory here, this is not mandatory property which we have to give, but here in input dialog box it is mandatory to give the variable name here in the result. Okay, so in this way it is very important to know what are the properties which are mandatory to be given and what are the properties which are not mandatory to be given. Okay, so simply it will throw error if something is mandatory property which we have to give, and if we have missed that, it will simply throw an error. Okay, so for example, something like this, under output result we have to give variable name, otherwise it will not be able to take that reference of the variable which is created. Okay, so something like this. So as we get familiar with activities and using, we will understand these properties as well. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can ask, guys. Otherwise, we will again we'll be meeting on Monday.
Yeah, no doubts, Sakit.
Fine, guys. Okay, so see you on Monday again. Thank you. Thank you and bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.